Gospel lesson for today is written in the Gospel according to St. Matthew, chapter 9, reading from verse 35. So Jesus went out to the towns and villages, teaching in their synagogues, proclaiming the good news of the kingdom, curing every kind of illnesses and infirmity. The sight of the crowds moved him to pity. They were like sheep without a shepherd, harassed and helpless. Then he said to his disciples, "The crop is heavy, but the laborers are few. You must ask the owner to send laborers to bring in the harvest." Then he called the 12 disciples to him and gave them authority to drive out unclean spirits and to cure every kind of illness and infirmity. These are the names of the 12 apostles. First, Simon, also called Peter, and his brother Andrew, James the son of Zebedee and his brother John, Philip and Bartholomew, Thomas and Matthew the tax collector, James the son of Alphaeus, Thaddeus, Simon the Zealot, and Judas Iscariot, the man who betrayed him. These 12 Jesus sent out with the following instruction: do not take the road to the Gentiles. Do not enter any Samaritan town, but go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. And as you go, proclaim the message: the kingdom of heaven is upon you. Heal the sick, raise the dead, clean the lepers, drive out demons. You receive without cost, and you give without cost. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this opportunity that we can come together as your children during these times we are facing, to find space to listen to you talking to us, to re-energize our faith, to strengthen our relationship with you, and to keep us connected with you, to build one another and to strengthen one another. We ask these things through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
Heal the sick and preach the word.
Today I want to just focus on verse 36. The sight of the crowds moved him to pity. They were like sheep without a shepherd, harassed and helpless. After reading this paragraph, or this, what is prescribed to us by in our lectionary, verse 35 paints in a very nutshell Jesus' ministry on earth, both combining both temple ministry and public ministry. But verse 36 for me paints or brings into understanding where all of this that is mentioned in verse 35 and what is going to happen in verse 37 following right through to chapter 10, where it all comes from. It comes from a place where Jesus sees, that's the first thing comes to mind, is that Jesus looked at and saw the state of people that God has created. Now, verse 36 has that element to say, as someone that was there when God created the first person, that was there when God laid the intention of creating a person, as someone that has that understanding, now is looking at what has become of that creation and the current state and God's intention. There is a vast difference, and that difference caused Jesus to be sad, caused Jesus to have pity, because he's looking at humankind and saying, this is not the intention of God for his people. The manner in which people are living and the condition of life and the quality of life that is lived by God's people, it is not the intended life that God had in his mind when he was creating the first person. And because of that, Jesus therefore is moved, has pity, because people are not in the condition, the quality of life is, or because of the quality of the current situation, Jesus decides to commission his disciples. Now, the commissioning of the disciples lies not on their qualities as individuals. The commissioning of the disciples, the sending out of the disciples, It's not based on their ability or the fact that they are Jesus' disciples. Their commission lies on what Jesus is currently seeing. The disciples are not commissioned because of their abilities of being disciples, or because of the fact that they're disciples, or the manner on how they are disciples. Their commission lies on the condition that Jesus finds human beings living in, or the quality of life that is being lived by God's people. And the reason why I'm saying that is that the commissioning plays a very vital role on the existence of the church, because the church exists as an extension of God's commission. God still commissions, and his commission is bestowed upon the church. Now, here is what I find very, very interesting. First, verse 35 shows us on Jesus touching, healing, being there, making a difference, transforming God's people in the presence of the disciples. So the disciples are there watching Jesus, or watching people having an experience of being touched by Jesus. So the disciples are there seeing the transformation, seeing God at work. Jesus working on God's people in their presence. Now, them as disciples also have their own experience of being touched, being moved by God from one point to another. Now Jesus is taking not just random people. He is asking people that have an experience of Jesus working to them, asking the touched, asking the transformed to go and be agents of the extension of transformation. He's giving commission to people that have we have this view of seniority, this view of holding positions because we view them, they are close to Jesus. But we've never looked at them, or I've never looked at them as people that Jesus has touched. So the commission is not just the authority, given authority, rather than the touched being commissioned to go and extend that touch. reason why I'm raising this, it therefore it changes our attitude and thinking and understanding, first of all, of who we are. I said earlier that commission plays a vital role on the existence of the church and what the church is and should be, as an institution that has been given by, commissioned by God to bring transformation in God's people. The first of all is understanding that we are not the high and mighty. We are the touched. And therefore, when whatever God calls us to do, we view people as those that God is going to touch. They are going to experience what I have experienced. It therefore changes my attitude to those that are surrounding me. That I am surrounded by those whom God has touched. In my brother lies the experience. In my sister lies a moment where God has worked on them, like He worked on me. So therefore, I'm not higher and mightier than them. Instead, it brings us to the concept that we are one because we have a common denominator and a common factor. That is the experience of being with God. So the Great Commission therefore, what Jesus says to His disciples on the manner in which they should bring His existence to the entire creation lies on the fact that they've experienced God first. They know this product they are about to go and sell because they've experienced it. That is why when this whole COVID-19, the church serves through it, because it's actually throwing us back to the fundamental basis of our existence. That the buildings do not exist to be filled by the people, but the building exists to pump out people, to go to the people. It pumps out the touch. It pumps out the touched to go and to display that touched, so that God may touch those that He still seeks to touch up until today. And the only way we may be able to fulfill that, it's drawing strength in us witnessing God at work, not only in us, but in those whom God worked in our presence. Those whom we've witnessed God working in, gives us the strength, gives us the nourishment, gives us the protection and the willingness to continue doing the commission of God, to continue bringing God's existence in our societies today. And maybe this could transform the condition of people's lives in our current day. Amen.